It is springtime in New Jersey. The first signs of springs are oftentimes those little flowers that poke their head up through the ground, and eventually everything begins to turn green. And all of a sudden this last week, the green leaves have sprung out from the trees, and our world around us is becoming green. The grass has turned from brown to green, the trees from gray and black to this gradually lightning green. It's a beautiful picture. I love spring. I love spring. You know, when I think about spring and I think about everything turning green, I think of Psalm 23, where we read that the Lord is our shepherd, and because he's a shepherd, there's nothing that we will be in want of nothing. It's a beautiful picture. And as we go a little further, we're reminded that he makes us lie down in green pastures. Spring reminds me of green pastures. Now here's the question that I'd like to ask you. Where are your green pastures? What do you look to find that place of safety and comfort? When do you feel good about yourself? When do you feel safe? Oftentimes it's when our world is safe, when we have good relationships, when we're financially secure, when we feel like our world around us is going the way we'd like it to. In those moments when we think that God is doing what we want him to, is the place where we say, I'm in the green pastures. So what happens when your green pastures don't feel green anymore? What happens if they don't feel safe? What happens if you feel like your world around you is changing? Whether it's political concerns, health concerns, financial concerns, or job concerns, broken relationships, the list can go on. When our world changes, all of a sudden the blessings that we feel like God had given us, we feel like he's stripped them away. But for us to really understand the green pastures that Christians are given regardless of what they face, let's go back to Psalm 22, the psalm just before Psalm 23. And the very first verse of Psalm 22 reads, my God, why have you forsaken me? Now, just having gone through Easter, we're familiar how Jesus said those words on the cross when he was bearing the penalty for all of our sins. You see, Jesus was forsaken by the Father so that we could be brought into relationship with the Father. Our sins were forgiven. They were paid for once and for all. So we can rest in that. But if we go to Psalm 24, just the other side of Psalm 23, we see a different picture of Jesus. Verse 7 of 24 reads this, lift up your heads, O gates. Be lifted up, you ancient of days doors, that the King of glory may come in. That's the picture of the returning Creator King. You see, for those of us who live between the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus and his return, he promises to be there for us. We can rest in him. We can rest in the good news that we are his sons and daughters, forgiven once and for all, resting in what he has given us, resting in him, because through him we have access to the Father, and through him we have the hope of one day, that new creation, when we will really be able to experience green pastures like we could never imagine when the King of glory comes again. Where are your green pastures? I'm Bob Warner, and I'd like you to think about that.